Okay. So in the last session, we have seen how the objects are getting identified, what their optional attributes are. Using those optional attributes, how I can just reach out to some element on the web page and interact with that as well. Right. Now, this is one condition that the element has the optional attributes which are generally used. Name, class, ID. These three are the mainly used optional attributes. But what if there are elements on the web page which does not have any of these optional attributes? Then what to be done? What can we do? So for that we have different locators that we make by ourselves only. Right now we just use ID, name and class. But now for those cases we will be using another locators named XPath and CSS selector. Both of these are nothing but the unique addresses of the elements on the page. We are going to make the unique addresses ourselves. There are tools also available to get it copied from those tools. And likewise, there are a number of things associated with these two locators. But now for this, we need to understand first of all that how they are made, what are their types, what are the ways to be made, because all the time it's not always correct that what you are writing is correct and what Selenium is understanding is correct. So let's start with the XPath first. XPaths are of two types. One is the complete XPath. Now when I talk about complete XPath is the XPath which starts from the root of the page. And when I say root of the page, that means the first tag of the page. First tag of the page, and first tag of the page is always HTML tag. If you look at any page source of any website, it always will start from the tag HTML. And the complete XPath starts from there only. There is another XPath. Let's just get this CSS selector a little downwards. And another one is the partial XPath. It actually does not start from the root of the first tag of the page, but yes, this particular XPath, this type of XPath starts from the element which do have the optional attribute available. Like for example, let's take an element over here on the website. Let's say this is only the website that I have, and this is the text that I want to get on my console. So I'll inspect this. I'll see whether it has an option attribute or not. So over here, it does not, this particular element does not have any of the optional attribute. No class, no name, no ID. Right. So how to actually go on and identify this element and get the text of this on my console? That is the question, right? So either I can make the complete XPath. What the complete XPath will be? It will start from this tag and will come till this tag. Another XPath, which is the partial XPath, it will not actually go to the HTML tag. It will just look up to the upper tag that whether it has the optional attribute or not. Now over here, the upper tag has a optional attribute, but can we use this optional attribute to identify a unique element from the web page? Can we? No, we cannot use this particular optional attribute for unique identification of an element. It is a class. It may be shared by another elements on the page as well. So we will not use this. We'll do one more thing. We'll go to the upper tag of that tag as well. Now this is a tag which has a optional attribute associated that has a ID. So my partial XPath will start being made from here only. This is the difference between the complete XPath and the partial XPath. They have another names as well. Complete XPath may be called the absolute XPath. If I say complete XPath can be called as absolute XPath, or and the partial XPath may be called relative XPath. These two names can be used. Now if we start making the XPaths one by one for both the scenarios, we will be taking this object only. So let's just start with the complete XPath first. So this is the first tag, right? While making the XPath by your own, you can make your XPath by your own over here in the inspecting screen only. Just hit Control F. It will give you a bar over here to write up things over here, so you can make it over here. Now let's start. The first tag is HTML. If you are going right in the hierarchy, if you are going right as per the tag given, then the tag is going to be highlighted in the yellowish color. Like the HTML tag is being highlighted right now, it's being right, so it's being highlighted over here in the font. If you are wrong, then nothing is going to be highlighted. You are going to get results at 0.0. Nothing is going to be highlighted. Now below the HTML tag there are two main tags. One is the head tag, which has the header part, like the script functions which are introduced in between the web page. Likewise, there are things in the head tag, but we are not concerned in the head tag. Our main work, our main consideration will be in the body tag. So after this HTML tag, I have to go to the body tag. To move further in the XPath, I have to use // next tag will be body tag. So here I got my body tag highlighted. I'm going right till now. Okay, now what next? Now what I have to do is I have to see that where is my actual element lying here. So you can see over here these tags. This is one tag, this is second tag, third tag, fourth tag. Likewise, I have tags at the same level. So these are my parallel tags. I have to inform that in which tag I want to go inside to reach to my element. So I'll get a count on it. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. Sixth one is the div tag that I am concerned about. So I'll say /div. I have to provide a number because they are parallel tags. By default, if you don't give any number to the tag, it is going to take you to the first tag by that name. If you have some another number to go in, you have to provide that. Right now I have div sixth div tag in which I have to go. So that's being highlighted over here like this. Now moving further, now I'm going inside this tag. So I'll use div. Again I have the same name tag, div /h1. That is the tag that I wanted to reach till. So this is the small XPath that has been made for this element. The complete XPath, this is like this. Simple and short, but when you are going to make it for the elements which are at the bottom or they have quite a long way down, then this path is going to look a very long XPath. So that's up to you which element you are going to use for. Right now this is the element which I am concerned about. If I do the same thing, if I make the XPath again for this element only, but this time I'm going to make it the partial XPath. And what my partial XPath says, that the element from where I'm going to start making the XPath should have the optional attribute. So let's just make that now. This was easy, it starts from HTML and it goes on, right? Now for the next one, For next one, I have to start it in a different way. Since I am not using the very first tag, so I have to specify that I am going to use the partial XPath. I am going to make the partial XPath by pressing double forward slash. Then star. By a star, what will happen? Everything on the page is going to be selected. But if you want to be specific that only that tag gets highlighted, so you should use the tag name over here instead of star. So my tag is inside the div tag. So on the page, as many as div tags are used, they all are going to be highlighted. But you have to specify that the div tag that you want to use is different in what ways. You have to give the optional attribute now. So you will specify, you will say at the rate id is equals to, in the single quotes, you have to give the id name now. So this is my id value over here that I'll specify. That only tag got highlighted now. There is a div tag on the whole page which has a id having the value main banner. That only tag got highlighted. This is done. Now after that, the same way we did with the complete XPath, the same way we are going to move in the hierarchy now. Slash div slash h1 like this. This is my this is my partial XPath, which looks like this. Clear how we actually make the XPath by ourselves? Is that clear? Any questions, any doubts on this?
No.
Okay. The usage of both type of XPath is exactly the same. The same we have discussed in the last class using those generic functions. Remember? In the object identification, I told you about these commands, right? Either you can use that specific one. Either you can say driver dot find element just wait, my PyCharm is getting ready. Just wait. Yeah. Now either you can use find element by XPath, the specific one, or you can use the find element, the generic command. So if I use a generic one, I'll say the locator is XPath, and what the value I'm going to use, let's say that is uh, firstly we'll use the complete one and then we'll use the partial one. So I'll put this and I'll give my XPath. Dot text. Now this text attribute
Yes.
am I audible? Okay. So we'll use this XPath. Now talking about the text, we have discussed this when we were talking about the web element func class, that there is a text attribute. The text attribute is basically going to give you the text already in the website, right? This is already in the website, it's in the tag, right? So I'm going to easily get this using the text. So I'll just will go on and I'll just will use this. Let's just do this in two parts because it's giving me a kind of warning. So I'll just will say text is equals to this, and in the print I'll say text dot text. So if I save this and I run this file, okay, there's some issue, just wait. Let me run it again. I'm getting some exception because the page is taking time to load, and as soon as what happens, Selenium starts looking for the element as soon as the page loads. So my page is taking time to load, that's why I'm getting the exception over here. But there is no issue, we have seen the same commands been working. If I do the same thing with the partial thing, let's just try with that as well. Find element by xpath, and I'll give the xpath over here dot text, and I'll get it printed. I'm just going to introduce some sleep time over here because it's taking time, so I just will introduce some time so that my page can load, and then after Selenium can start looking for the element. So I'll save this and I'll run this. Maybe if I comment this, Let's try it using the partial one. This time I got my X path. Maybe that full X path is not being picked up or something like that. But usually this also works, the complete X path and the partial X paths also. Maybe I have done something wrong or something like that. But usually this thing also works. It's not working, maybe some issue is there. But you can try it yourself. You can take another website, make the complete X path and see how it goes on. And the partial X paths also. Right, the usage is same for both. But it's not compulsory that you always have to make the XPath by your own. It's not always compulsory. There are simple elements. For those, you can just copy the XPath by your own and you can simply use it. That is also you can do. Right. Now for that, what you need to do is you just need to look for that element on the page. It will get highlighted like this. Right. If I'll just close this, if I just remove it from here. Yeah, this is the element. Just right click over the highlighted part. You will get the option of copy. And in this copy option, there are few more options available like copy XPath and copy full XPath. So from here, you can also get the XPath. XPath where it's written copy XPath, that means the partial XPath will be given. Where it's written copy full XPath, that means a complete XPath will be given. So here also you can take it. If I copy the XPath from here, the same XPath I'm getting, just that they're giving number of the second div as well. That's what the difference is. Otherwise the rest is exactly the same. And if I look for the copy XPath, the second option which gives me the partial one, so here it has the XPath which is just the same. Likewise, this is on Chrome. You'll get the same option on another browsers as well like Firefox, Edge. There also you'll get the same options and you can get the XPath from there as well. Along with this, sometimes there are elements on the page for which different XPaths gets returned. Like right now we have made something else. The copy XPath tool may give me something else depending upon the parent variable or something like that. It may be different. For more accuracy, that what could be the most closest XPath to be used, we have one more tool on Chrome, that is the CrowPath. On the CrowPath, it will take all the attributes in take. It has ID, name, class, all those you can get in take, and according to that only it will give you the partial XPath and the absolute XPath. Likewise, it will be giving you. So this one gives you the closest and the finest XPath that will be working using that you can use using Selenium. Okay, now on Firefox also we have tools. They are also very much helpful. If I talk about those tools, so let's just talk about those. Same website we are going to take in over here. Now over here on Chrome, there is a little difference. On Firefox, there is a little difference. On Chrome, what happens is on any element where you will click, you will get two options on the copy tool to get the complete XPath and to get the partial XPath. You will get two of those options. But over here on Firefox, what happens is it automatically judge that whether the element you're looking for, if it does not has the optional attribute ID, it will automatically return you the complete XPath. Over here now we know that this element does not have any ID attribute. So if I just go to copy, inspect, this got highlighted. If I use the copy tool from here, I only get one option of XPath because it automatically judge what to return, the complete XPath or the partial XPath. So if I get this copied from here and I take it in here in the sheet, this is what is being returned to me, the complete XPath. If I look for some another element also, let's say we'll take a look at some element which has the ID attribute along. So we'll inspect that element. It has an ID attribute over here. So if I use the copy tool now, copy XPath, this time it gives me the partial XPath. If I look for some another element as well, let's say this one, learn to build. I inspect, it does not have ID attribute. This time it will return me complete XPath. Like this. Firefox automatically judges the condition that what to return. This is one thing about Firefox. Rest is same. You can inspect the elements as we did on Chrome. Same way you can make your own XPaths. Control F you can hit on the inspecting screen. You'll get the bar and you can make your XPath by your own. Right. Along with this, there are tools available. Which tools are available over here now? So let's say I have made my XPath by my own. I made my XPath by my own. I want to check that whether the XPath I'm going to use, is it accurate or not? Is it the unique address that I have made or it's pointing to multiple elements? That I want to check. So that I can check in Firefox. Just what I need is I need to move. If I just go on and look for Firefox add-ons. Add-ons on Firefox. And I'll search for what purpose I want to add the add-ons. For XPath I want to add it. So I'll say XPath and I'll search. It will give me a list over here. As many as tools are there, I'll get all of them over here. Now mostly used add-ons are two. One is Try XPath and one is XPath Finder. So we'll take a look at both. I'll click on add to Firefox, add, okay, and same way I'll add this as well at one go. Add, okay. Now this is done. I'll go back to my Firefox over here. Now this is the Try XPath. This will we be using in case of our custom XPath. I have made the XPath by my own and I want to check that whether it is the unique one or not. So in that case, I'm going to take. So let's say this is the XPath that I have made by myself, let's suppose, and I want to check that whether it's unique or not. So I'll put it into the expression. Didn't that got copied? Try. No. Over here I got that XPath. Came 2 times. Once I have put the expression over here, the XPath that I have made by myself, I'll just will click on the execute button, and wherever this element is being available on the page, that will be highlighted. So let's see, over here it is being highlighted in the red dotted line, clear and simply, that here it is. And it also gives you the count that how many elements are actually being pointed by this XPath that I have made this way. If I look for some another element, let's say I look for this element and I want to check for this, so I can just put this here, execute, and wherever this element is being used, that will also be highlighted as it was being highlighted like this.
Hi Jasprit, we used to get that pop-up
So
correct on
this
the
will
top
give
of
you
the, like
a help over
it is
here
being
to
controlled
make
by
sure that
automation test
the
software
XPath you are
something.
using
So to
is
get rid
unique.
of that, I use Chrome options. Yesterday I have done some practice. Can you go on the top, please? Top of the code where
What actually it
we can
is?
use the Chrome options. Option is equal webdriver.chrome option. The first, yeah, here. So we are not getting that message on the Chrome now. Just I was practicing, yeah. Yeah, no problem. Just I'm practicing myself. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I understood. Sorry, I disturbed the class. No problem. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm following. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you for telling. And then that's good. But we have not reached till, so another one will not get to know what actually you did. So no issues. Now talking about the another tool. That tool is way very much useful in case of finding the XPath. For that you don't have to do anything, nor even go on the inspecting screen, nothing like that you have to do. You just simply click on that tool. Once you click on the tool, a cursor will be given to you. A cursor will be given to you, and wherever you go, wherever you want to look for, which element you want to look for, you just have to drop the mouse over here. Let's say I want to look for this particular text. So at the bottom left, I get the XPath for that particular element. If I want to look for another, let's say I want to look for this one, so the XPath I'm getting. I want to look for another, let's say this one, so this is what I've got. So this tool is way much useful than another tools. You can use this tool anytime, but the rule will be applied over here as well, that if the element does not have the ID attribute, you are going to get the complete XPath, otherwise you will get the partial XPath. So if you are okay with the complete XPath, you can use it, otherwise you can make your own XPath as well. Okay, this was about the XPaths. You can customize them, you can make them, you can use the tools, and you can simply get it copied as well. Now if I talk about the CSS selector. Now CSS selector is totally different from what we have done in the XPaths. We use the forward slash to move further in the hierarchy. We are based on the tag names in the XPaths, right? But in CSS selector, we actually don't use the tag names, or we are not dependent on the tag names, nor we use the forward slash to move further in the hierarchy. There are different rules to make the CSS selector, right? Like if I want to use the ID attribute for some element, then I have to use the hash for ID. If I want to use the class, then dot is the significance to use, dot for class. And in here in CSS selector, there is a term called nth child. Our whole CSS selector that we are going to make is going to be dependent on this nth child only. Now what this nth child is? So let's just take a look at that as well. It's a Chrome. Right, now over here, when we were making the complete XPath, we have seen from HTML tag, we got head tag. We were not concerned about the head tag, we went into the body tag. Fine. Now in the body tag, I have different tags at parallel level, right? Parallel tags I have. Div tags I have, then in between I have script tag, then div tag, then script tag, likewise. Right. In CSS selector, sorry, in XPaths, if the tag name is same, my hierarchy will go like 1 2 3 4. So this will be like first div tag, second div tag, third div tag, and we'll ignore the script tags because they are the different tags. Then we'll come to another one. It will be fourth div tag, fifth div tag. Another tag I got, I'll ignore it and I'll move to the same name tag. This is what happens in XPath. But when it comes to CSS selector, any tag that is there in the hierarchy, in the parallel tags, there is any tag, it is going to be considered as a child tag itself. Either it's a div tag, it's a edge tag, it's a script tag, any tag. They are going to be the child class, child tags only. So over here, what my NS child will do, it will consider it as first child, second child, third child. Script will be my fourth child now. Then no script will be fifth one. Then sixth one, seventh one, eighth, ninth, tenth, and so on. So for nth child, there is no specific tags that it is considered about. It does not take tag names in consideration. So over here, we can conclude that CSS selector has no compulsion on tag names. So how to actually move further in the hierarchy if we are not using the tag names, then how we are going to make it? So that's simple. It's not that complicated. Let's say I'm not going into these tags right now. Let's go on to these tags which do have number of elements in single form. Right, this is although a form that you are filling. So if I inspect this form, so let's say name, yeah. So this is my form tag, the whole form tag. This is a div tag which has a ID and a class as well. So if I have to make the CSS selector for this name text box, how will I be able to use that? Plus point, I already have ID with that tag associated. So I can just simply go on and I can say Control F. I'll use hash and I'll give the value of that tag name, that was user input name. So over here that got highlighted. This is the CSS selector for my name text box. For name text box. So wherever I have IDs, I can simply go on and use the hash and I can give the value. That's simple, right? What if I don't have such thing like that? So we'll use the same funda of using the parent tag, which does have a ID attribute that I can do. So I can say that this is the tag which I'm going to use. I'll say hash this. Now I have to move further into this form tag, into this div tag to reach to the main name text box. So what I'll do, I'll take the use of the nth child now. So over here, right now what I can show is I can see only this tag, which is the parallel tag. So I'll use the nth child. I'll say colon nth child. For nth child, you do have to specify the number. There is no such thing like default value. If you will not give, it will take you to first one. Nothing like that. If you want to give to the first tag also, you have to specify the number. Otherwise, if you don't give any number that on which nth child you want to go on, it's not going to take you anywhere. It's not going to highlight anything. Okay, now I have reached till here. Next is I have another tags inside this. I have another parallel tags inside this div. So again I'll go on. For hierarchy moving, what I'm using is I'm using an angular bracket followed by a colon. I'll show you. I'll just will make it once and then I'll show you. Nth child. Now there are two parallel tags. I have to clearly mention first one or second one. If I say first, it will take me to the first tag. If I'll say second, it will take me to the second tag. So that you have to be very much clear using when you are working with the CSS selector. Then going on and going on and going on and going on, I'll reach till there. Currently I'm here, so I'll use the div tag. So I'll use this nth child. Here I am. Then again I have to go inside. Again. Now over here with this, I again have two different tags. One is label tag, which is actually informing me that what this text box is for. I want to look for that, or I actually want to go into the text box. So I'll change the number to second. So this will take me to the text over here. And this is what I have got into the CSS selector for my text box, the first text box. This is how it looks like. Nothing much changed, just the numbers of the child are being changing. Rest is everything same. We have not used tags over here, so it's very simple enough. But if you want to use tags for your understanding, because NS child may be confusing at times, so people do use the tags along. What you need to be careful about is that you need to know that the tag name you are going to give, is it the correct tag name or not, right? Like suppose over here if I say that there is a input tag, instead of input tag it is actually the text is actually a input tag, right? But I thought it's a label tag. It's a wrong tag that I have given. So you can see over here, nothing is getting highlighted. Over here, nothing. So if you are giving the tag names, you need to make sure that the tag name is correct. Otherwise, it is not going to highlight anything. Okay, this is first thing if you are using the tags. Second thing, in CSS selector, the spaces are very much important. They have their own rule. the extra spaces. Suppose over here in between the angular bracket and the colon I give space. It's working. It's not going to give any wrong thing. But after colon I give space. After colon I give space. So you can see nothing is highlighting now. Just because space has a different meaning in CSS selector. What it is, I'll come to that. But no extra spaces are required in CSS selector. If you give space after the nth child, that's fine. If you give space after the angular bracket, that's also fine. But if you give space after the colon, then it's not going to work. Okay, so be careful about this. I'll just will put that over here as well. This condition is working, but after colon, space is not allowed. Now talking about what actually space is for. So in CSS selector, it's kind of smart that space is something. Let's say this is the tag. This is my form, right? It has an ID. Now in this form, in this whole div tag, I would say that there is some another element which has some ID or which has some another identification like another attribute, right? So I don't have to follow this whole hierarchy. I don't have to do anything like that. I can skip all this nth child thing. I can just put a space between the parent tag and the child tag I'm looking for. That's what I can do, and it's automatically going to look for that tag inside, that just by that space. So if I say I'm going to remove all this, I'm going to let all this go, I put space and I say input, sorry, and what tag I'm looking for, it has a ID saying user input name. I am not sure if I have given the right value, name, like this. So just by space, this is the CSS selector that got made just by the use of space. You can see yourself, I have given the parent tag in which I was looking for the element, and I have given the tag I am looking for just separated by a space. So it automatically got that identified. So you can use this space as well. This is kind of smart feature of CSS selector, that you can skip all the hierarchy thing and just put space. But unnecessary space is still not allowed. So make sure wherever you are using space in CSS selector, that's at the correct place. Okay, you can combine these two things as well. You can use the nth child and space at the same time as well. Like say if I say that this is the parent tag and then I give one nth child, I give one nth child space and then the element that I'm looking for, then also it's working fine. Okay, so you can use both of them at the same time easily. This is the CSS selector thing. Rules are strict, but it's way too easier than XPath. It's also not compulsory to make it yourself all the time. It's not compulsory. You can use the tool. Either you can just click on the highlighted part, use the copy tool and copy the CSS copy selector from here. This is the option. Or using the crow path, you can also get the CSS selector. This is the this is the CSS selector for the element that got highlighted over here. And same thing you can do on the Chrome and Edge as well. There also you will get the options. Okay. Coming to the usage, that how to use it. There are two different ways you can do that. Either you can use the generic function or you can use the specific function. So I'll say I want to use a specific function, find element by CSS selector, And what the selector I'm going to use is, let's say I'm going to use this whole selector. This one, let's say. So I'll copy this, Control C, paste. Here I got it. Dot. So in case this was a text box I was using, so I'll just will use this at the gmail.com. Okay. Now if I save this and I run this,
Hi Jasprit, I'm Nandan Kumar. I'm clear today class. I have one question. Yesterday
so
during
it
practicing,
entered
right?
the,
Package name
it
I have
found
given
that
as a
element using the
Python. So I
selector,
was struggling for
it
2 hours
found the text,
almost.
it
The
entered the
testing
text
framework
inside
quit
and
unexpectedly. It is
closed the
coming
browser itself.
while running with the PyTest.
Okay,
So almost that
clear?
experience I had
Any
yesterday. two
questions, any
hours I
doubts over
wasted my
here?
time, and I found later on the package name. I changed the package name. Then
That I told you in the earlier classes only, that do not.
yes. Yes, I did that mistake. It was, almost it killed my. I was thinking about I have a system problem or a variable setup, environment variables. I need to set up something else.
That I
I
told you
gone
in
into
the
the
earlier
wrong
classes
direction
only,
and then
that
came
do
back. I
not
understood.
name
Now it is
any
working
of
fine.
your
No problem.
package,
This was my
file, or
experience
even your
yesterday. I was
project
sharing
name
nothing. Thank
as
you.
the predefined names already.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
No, I will practice today and I will let you know by tomorrow.
Okay, that is a good experience, that you won't repeat that same mistake. You will take care, you'll take that in mind before naming any of the file or package. That's a good practice. Any other questions or doubts from Jatin? Okay, sure, anytime. So this was
Sure.
about